Hello and welcome to Greenhat-Redbeard Adventures. This video today is going to be about my 1700's Tinder Box. Other times it's otherwise known as the 1700's English Fire Kit. Depends on which version you want to go with. This one is made out of brass. The place that I got this from, and it's actually kind of a funny story of how I got this, because I have 3 of these. And it was just an odd coincidence how I managed to get the 3 of them all within a small period of time, which is kind of hilarious, because before I had this, I kept my flint and steel kit inside of an Altoids tin. And although there's nothing wrong with the Altoids tin, I wanted something that was just more nicer, more professional looking, something, you know, not necessarily even just like this, but just something that looked really nice, at least a nicer container kind of thing. So a friend of mine and I, we do birthdays, because she's Jewish and I'm not. So, and her birthday is just after Christmas. Mine's just before Christmas. So we decided one year to do birthdays, and we've been doing it for so many years. Anyways, I got this container probably around 4, maybe 5 years ago. I'm not entirely sure. So obviously this video is a little overdue. But I asked for a professional kit. And then some time later, before my birthday came around, I was at Canadian Outdoor Equipment Co. And I saw one of these containers. And I was like, oh wow, that's really neat, they're really cool. And so I picked this one up, and this one came empty. It was just the container just by itself. And it was for about $35 Canadian. And then, so I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. So I got this for myself. And then Christmas comes along, and my friend, she ends up getting this exact same container, but she got the English Fire Kit version. So there's the this is the 1700's Tinder Box, and then there's the other one, which is the exact same container, but the difference is that there's an empty container, and then the other container is the exact same thing, but it includes the flint and steel kit. So therefore it's called the 1700's English Fire Kit. That's what it's labeled as. But at the end of the day, the container is still the exact same. They're both brass. So she got me that for my birthday. She gave it to me, and I was like, oh my gosh, you got me the exact same container that I just got for myself. But of course I opened it up, and it was a flint and steel kit that it came with. I was like, oh wow, that's actually pretty neat, and that's really cool. So, and then a short time later, a friend of mine who had owed me a favor, he came up to me and says that he bought himself a brand new container like this for his flint and steel, and decided to give me his old one in exchange for the, you know, getting rid of the favor thing. So that's how I ended up with 3 of them. So 2 of which were brand new, and his one, which was a little bit used. The used one, I'm not sure where it is at the moment, but obviously, as you can see, that this one here is not as clean and shiny as it once was. This one's obviously used. I've been using this for quite a while. I keep this in my bushcraft bag. So let's get back to the point of this, the little review of this container. So this is the 1700's Tinder Box, which is what it's labeled as. The overall dimensions, and I will be putting this in the description as well. The overall dimensions of this is that the length of it is 3 3/4 of an inch. The width of it is 2 and I want to say, I think it was like 2 5/16 of an inch. 2 5/16 inches. And the overall height of it is 1 inch. The length of the hinge on the back side, I think it was about 3/4 of an inch or 7/8 of an inch. I can't remember off the top of my head, I'm sorry to say. On this side here, you can see that little slit that's right there, the little puncture right there. That's the latch, so it opens up this way. So let's open this up. So I'll show you how I got it in here. So there's my flint and steel kit right there in there. This is the kit that I keep in my bushcraft backpack. So I got myself a nice supply of char cloth in here. So let's take that and put that to the side. I got my good steel. This is my best one there. I got this from Canadian Outdoor Equipment Co. And this is a new one that they started selling. It's a really nice one. A little more char cloth. And a nice sized rock. It needs to be nice, decently and flat, so that way it fits in the container itself. So there you have it. Nice, decent size in there. And it's overall, it's nice and sturdy. It's not like a little flimsy piece of junk or nothing. It's not like it's gonna open this up and I can twist this around no easy. It's not like it's gonna just flop apart in your fingers or nothing like that. It's pretty decently solid overall. The hinge is pretty good as well. There has been one online question circulating around. I've noticed this on a couple Facebook groups, and I've noticed this on more than one video as well on YouTube, is that can these brass containers be used to make char cloth? The answer is yes and no. Now, I'm sorry to say I don't know what the exact melting point of brass is by comparison to how hot a fire can be. But what I can tell you, and I'll put actually a melting point, I'll put it down in the description, but what I can tell you is I have in fact used one of my other containers, like this one here I haven't actually used in a fire yet. But if you put this right into the fire, like right into the heart of the fire, right where the raging flames are, it could potentially cause this to melt. But also, if you take a close-up look, see those little spot welds that are holding this hinge in place? I've heard stories about how those can actually cause the hinge to pop off and therefore rendering the container semi-useless. Now, however, that's if you put it into the heart of the fire where the raging flames are. However, if you scoop out some of those hot embers and just simply place this on top of the hot embers, you don't need to puncture a little hole in it because of this little slit that's here. All the smoke will spew out of this little hole right here where the latch is. You can see it right there, a little black spot right there. So you don't need to poke a hole in it, and just put this on top of the hot embers. Yes, it can be used to make char cloth. So long as you just keep it on hot embers, keep a sharp eye on it just to make sure that nothing bad were to happen, just in case. And now I've done this twice on hot embers and once on my Trangia spirit burner. And the spirit burner from the burner itself to the container was roughly about two and a quarter inches away. So don't be putting it right on top of the burner, you know. But all in all, it held up nicely. Although I should probably point out before I forget, if you take a close look, that's the latch that's right there. You want to keep a sharp eye on the latch because the latch itself, the rivet that holds it in place, could come loose and cause the latch to come loose, in which case it may not lock down when you close it. If that would be the case, then you just gotta simply bend the latch forward a little bit, so that way you get that little latching, locking kind of motion. However, if it does not do that for you, then you're gonna have to make up some form of way to keep this closed. On one of my other backpacks, I made this leather holster for it, so the leather kind of goes around the outside, keep it closed, and around this way has a little button latch you open up and slip the leather off. It keeps it closed. It prevents it from opening up and char cloth getting all over the inside of your gear and losing all your stuff. So my first initial reaction was elastic bands, but the elastic bands just made the thing look ugly. So when I use the leather, it looks so much more nicer with the leather, and it keeps it all closed and contained. But this one in particular, I have not actually used in a fire yet, although it is, you know, as you can see, very discolored. But you'll notice that the discoloration especially will be on the inside of the container as opposed to the outside. That's what I noticed when I did the fire on my other brass container. So all in all, out of 10 stars, I would definitely give this a good solid 9.5 stars out of 10. Because I just love the look of this thing. It just looks amazing. Even when it's old and, you know, lost its shine, it still looks amazing. It still looks very traditional, very old school, 1700s tinderbox. And it's not even just for flint and steel, but you can also put other things in it. I know one guy who puts his fishing hooks and some lures, small lures, into his container. There's another guy who uses it for little odds and ends, you know, sewing equipment and such. Personally, I use my flint and steel kit with this, as you saw there. So I got my rock, I'm gonna put that back in there now. Here's my steel and a good supply of char cloth. Close that up. It barely makes any noise with the char cloth in there. So anyways, that's my 1700's tinderbox, or the English fire kit. This is Greenhat-Redbeard Adventures. Stay safe, have fun.